past journals and come up with some kind of overview of the lightning path. I realize there are people who are, because of the way the videos are piling up, some people are coming in with some of the newer videos and don't necessarily have a sense of the overarching nature and purpose of the whole lightning path phenomenon. So this is yet another attempt to consolidate an overview and have people come into this work becoming as highly conscious of the myth of the feathered serpent as can be, and also have a look at, well, what does it take to bring the myth alive in my life? So here we go. I've become a real fan of Chat GPT. It's been great for manifesting text like this. So I pretty much asked the Chat GPT to render some tips for understanding and integrating the myth of the feathered serpent into one's own life. So here's some basic suggestions. First of all, study the myth. Learn about the feathered serpent, its stories, and its cultural significance. It was a very pervasive myth all throughout Mesoamerica, and it certainly still has a life. And the work we're doing with the lightning path is part of the reemergence of this myth, and now on a planetary scale. The bot suggests that we seek understanding of his roles as a creative bringer of knowledge and as a symbol of transformation. Grasp the symbolic meanings associated with the feathered serpent, such as balance between earth and sky, duality, and the transformative power of wisdom. Identify core values. Reflect on how the values and principles embodied by the feathered serpent resonate with your own beliefs. This might include a commitment to wisdom, creativity, and personal transformation. Embrace the concept of transformation and growth in your own life. Be open to learning and evolving, much like feathered serpent's journeys and transformations. Practice the myth's principles. Strive to embody traits such as wisdom, compassion, and creativity. Act in ways that reflect these values in your daily life. Engage in practices or rituals that symbolize your connection to the myth. This could include meditation, art, storytelling, or other forms of expression that honor the feathered serpent's attributes. Cultural and community engagement. Participate in or support cultural events, festivals, or educational programs that celebrate and preserve the myth and its associated culture. The harmonic convergence ceremony back in '87 was certainly an example of that sort of thing. Personal myth making. Incorporate elements of the feathered serpent myth into your personal narrative. See yourself on a journey of growth and transformation, guided by the mythic themes. Use creative outlets such as writing, painting, or music to explore and express your connection to the myth. So just as a summary, aligning with the myth of the feathered serpent is a deeply personal and ongoing process. It involves both internal reflection and external action. It is about finding meaning and guidance in the myth's themes and allowing them to inspire and shape your life's journey. So I'm hoping that in the pages that follow, I'm able to convey a sense of what it's like to live a life that is seeking to incorporate this myth in day-to-day reality. So the whole of the lightning path boils down to something pretty simple. There's three characters here: Dwayne Rourke, Jose Arguelles, and myself. And where Dwayne Rudhyar introduced me to the lunation cycle teachings, so the cycle of moon phases from a new moon to a next new moon. He has a whole teaching around that, which I absorbed over several years. And then Jose Arguelles introduced me to the Mayan sacred calendar. And we see here the radial Tzolkin. Now, I'm the guy that came along and bridged these two visionaries. And that's what we have imaged on the left-hand side here. This is a kind of like a direct line to the galactic center through the symbology of the Tzolkin. But it's the Tzolkin in conjunction with the lunar cycle. And that's why we start these talks at a new moon, and now regularly at the full moon as well. There's a natural rhythm there that we're attuning to. And that rhythm has momentum, and it will help keep us on the track. That's been my experience. As long as we're open to receiving guidance, the guidance will come. And it's primarily through the symbolism. So where this all really came together for me was on March 3rd, 1986. And here we have in front of us the very simple mathematical transposition that brings about this attunement to the lightning path. Now, fundamentally, it's simply this. It takes 21 years to pass through one moon cycle at a time, all 260 sectors of the Tzolkin. This is exactly 1/4 of the 84 years it takes for Uranus to orbit the sun, as revealed in the following calculation summary. So one synodic moon cycle of 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes is equal to 29.53 days. Now, one Luna Tzolkin, so this is the moon cycle and the Tzolkin combined, one round of 260 lunation cycles, which is 7,677.8 days. That is 1/4 of the orbit of Uranus. So 4 of those rounds brings us to 30,711 days, or 84.08 years. Now, the orbital period of Uranus is exactly 84.01. So there's a difference there. I think it's about 28 days, or less than 30 days difference anyway. So in a big number like 30,711, 20 or 30 days is kind of like lubricant for the whole system. So that is the mathematics of the lightning path right there. It's as simple as that. And on that basic, simple mathematical correlation, we have an ongoing flow of symbolism that's all hanging together, through the structure of the Tzolkin. So where Arguelles brought the Mayan calendar to the public awareness, it was primarily through his book, Earth Ascending. This came out in 1985. Jose had to fund the publication of the book himself. He couldn't seem to get a publisher to take it on. It's a truly pioneering venture. And in my way of thinking, it's a brilliant consolidation of not only the Mayan calendar, but the I Ching as well, the chakra system. All of these components Jose had already integrated in his book, Earth Ascending. And when I came along, I was then able to take what he had brought together and add my own tools, essentially, which came more out of the astrological tradition and perhaps the alchemical tradition. So this is a work of synthesis, and it's one that has not gotten as much viewership, let's say, as it really should, in my estimation. I think there's this Earth Ascending is a very profound consolidation of symbolic systems. It actually consists of 51, I believe it is, maps of consciousness. And it really brings in that balance of left and right hemisphere. You have a lot of text, but you also have an enormous number of images, really powerful imagery. So another graphic that kind of an overview graphic. We have the feathered serpent represented here. And we have as you guys that are with me here on this know, we have this temple phenomenon. So every group of 13 hieroglyphs constitutes a temple of the cosmic imagination, we'll say. So the way this has unfolded from that very first March 3rd, 1986 moment, it's been one lunation cycle at a time. And what I would like to bring your attention to is this very first temple, which is the temple of fingers and toes. On March 3rd, 1986, I stepped foot on the little temple, let's say, that's indicated there, and began my transformative journey of attunement to the 260 sectors of the sacred calendar. Now this expands that temple structure. Here we have the whole 13 moons of the temple of the fingers and toes. And over on the left here with Mr. Natural, representing my step onto the path. I was within the sector of 1 Imish, which is the very most primordial point of the whole Tzolkin phenomenon. This is the primal source, the primal beginning point for the lightning path journey. So my entry onto the path at that point on March 3rd was personally extremely transformative. I literally it was like the roof of the house flew off, and this presence came and was overshadowing the house, and I felt this beam of energy come down through my head and down through my body to my root chakra, and just it was like a cosmic zap. And in that moment, I saw ahead that there was a journey to be taken, a journey of attunement to the Tzolkin calendar on the basis of 1 moon cycle per sector. So I was given that vision, and then it was up to me to decide whether or not I took that step ahead. And at that point, there was so much momentum in my personal life towards fundamental transformation that it was just a given that I was now committing to. I was making a minimum 21-year commitment to following this path. That would be the only way to encounter each sector of the Tzolkin at the scale of 1 moon cycle per sector. My personal relationship at that time was completely stressed out. This was a major departure point for the rather conventional life that I had been living up until that point. That all changed on that particular day, because I did make the commitment and I did move ahead. So there I am, having an encounter, a direct, personal, physical, metaphysical encounter with the Great Mother, the source of life, divine nurturance and support, primal trusts, primal waters. It's really how it felt. It was this mothering presence, this beneficent presence, and at the same time, a very challenging presence. So what I've done here is go into my journal, my Lunation journal, which I am forever encouraging people to take up for themselves as a journaling practice. It has been very rich in my experience, and I really encourage everyone to, journal your life experience. It's an amazing resource as the days and weeks go by. So here we are. I'm going right back to my journal entry on February 8th, 1986, which was the new moon at 1 Imish. And at that point, we had Halley's Comet swinging by, and we also had Voyager 2 swinging by Uranus and sending back some of the first pictures ever of Uranus. So while that's happening in the outer world, my inner world is now unfolding in attunement to the orbit of Uranus. And there we are, a few days later, and what we see here is my Commodore 64 microcomputer, 64K, and with that little computer, I established for myself a compiled Lunation journal. So now I was then printing a journal format on my little Commodore 64. And the image on the left shows that there we are. We're entering into the lunation cycle ascribed to 1 Imish. We're at the very most primordial point of that cycle, as well as the most primordial point of the Tzolkin. So this is a real convergence point for an encounter with the Great Mother. Now, along with that first encounter was my attempt to get on paper some imagery and text that kind of captured some of the just the irrelevant imagery. So along the top, we have a horizontal line, which is a timeline, and it's showing the different new moons, waxing and waning from new moon to full moon, back to new moon. So we're starting to image now this lunation, Tzolkin integration, and have it be a path that has an anticipatory value to it. We can look ahead, and we can also project this same timeline into the past. The structure of the Tzolkin will take us back, which I have done for different purposes. We see an image of what's called a Vajra, at least in the Buddhist tradition, especially Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And what I've indicated is the Vajra represents the lightning path. It's like a thunderbolt. And to hold that Vajra in your right hand, which is what I'm doing right this moment, there's a weight to it, there's a direction to it, and this is a kind of a personal ritual object that helps one keep on track with the unfolding symbology of the lightning path, which is there for our contemplation. This is a very contemplative approach to life. And I realized it's not one that is predominant in our culture. It's a very rare individual who's going to spend the time to document their personal life, their inner life and their outer life. But for those who are, it's very rewarding. Now, right at that juncture, the German philosopher Goethe, or Goethe, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I came across this quote, and this quote was fundamental to my whole orientation to what I had committed to just days before. And I'll read this. This is his notion of what commitment is all about. Until one is committed, there is a hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative and creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would come his way. So Goethe encourages us, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. So moving on into July of '86, what I'm going to do here is share with you images and directly from my journals at that time. It was a real eye-opener point in my life. I'm studying this book deeply. His next book that came along was called The Mayan Factor. And between those two books and the rising prospect of participating in harmonic convergence in August of 1986, that all of that had me so on fire. I've never been so lit up in my life. And it was just day after day of plunging into the imagery and the words. So this is one of the 50 maps of consciousness in Earth Ascending. And we see here the holonomic model of knowledge. So what's happening for me is that I'm beginning to embrace this model and work with it. And at the core, we have shamanism, and we have geomancy, which is, as they say, man in relation to heaven and earth. So this is the real core of the whole orientation to life that Earth Ascending describes. And we see in there astrology, astronomy, physics, they're beaming in. We have architecture, arts and crafts, music, dance. And we have sighting, agriculture, environmental planning, geometry, mathematics, logic, language, medicine, healing, biology, government, psychology. So all of these disciplines converging through the shamanic core. And this became more and more real for me. And I'm not going to tell the whole story about it here, but right at the bottom center of this diagram, you see there's a half of a stone ball. Now this stone ball, this spherical stone ball came to me in a very remarkable encounter with the spiritual presence. Came to me out at Lake Hector, west of Calgary on the Stoney Indian Reserve. And it's a good story, and I tell it elsewhere, and I'll maybe do a presentation focused right on that. But to have had this ball come into my life before the book Earth Ascending came into my life, and then to realize that on probably 40 of the 50 maps of consciousness in Earth Ascending, those 40 have a sphere at the center of it. So this was a very remarkable find, and it's with me today and central to my personal altar. So here we have a little bit larger view of it. And what's happening here with this purple and yellow stripe coming down is I'm drawing attention to the axis of the eternal present, and what Arguelles calls the center line linking heaven above and earth below. And as he says, the plumb line of transcendent insight. So this is the eternal now that pervades all symbolic systems, and all consciousness. There's this sense that there is a place that we stray from, called the eternal present. We seem to go all kinds of places other than being present. But the shaman here is calling us back to that present moment and the perfection of that moment. And as it says in the bottom right-hand corner, all emanating in time from the geomantic core equals holonomy, or the science of unity. So that's what I was embracing back then in 86, and which I continue to embrace. So I'm the young man encountering Arguelles. He's 10 years my senior, and he's calling me into a shamanic world, and I struggled with that. I was not, I had not been trained in any shamanic tradition. I'd never even ever thought of myself as being a shaman. But at the same time, I was attempting to communicate with others what I was experiencing. And so it was like I had to take on the shaman shirt in some sense and actually bring myself forward in my community in order to share what I had been discovering. So as the days went on, and here we are in July, I have my journal, and I'm gathering images like this and creating images like this, indicating the mystic or organic revolution, total mind-body transformation of seed base extending outward. Well, in this particular image, what constitutes the seed base, in my understanding, is at the very bottom, and we have a 12-sectored circle here, which to me represents the personal birth chart. So this is the seed base, the symbolic seed base for any individual. And by working from that seed base, all that we are contacting remains integral to our understanding. This is the Mandela principle in operation. These two glyphs back to back here. Jose, when I brought him to Calgary, actually, we had some time together and great sharing. And he introduced me to this image, which he said was the Earth Shaman. And I just fell in love with it and I doctored it up a little. His version didn't have the rainbows and so on, but yeah, this particular image, it really felt like this is what was happening for me, that there was a beam coming out of my brow into a whole other world, and I was seeing into that world periodically, and I was very interested in what I was encountering, so it remained open. And also what happened was I came into relationship with Susan O'Shea. And Susan and I became quite active in our community with bringing forth teachings that emanated from shamanic tradition. And she had her own teachers in that respect. And the two of us coming into relationship was a crucible, became a crucible for personal transformation. In my experience, there's nothing more dynamic and challenging than a one-to-one relationship if you want to go the full breadth and depth of that relationship. And Susan and I covered a lot of ground in that respect, both personally and out in the community. So here I am, just kind of sketching elements of that era, that tools that were being used, some of which are still with me, like the bell and the Voyager, and my assortment of drums, etc. So we, as a couple, were introduced to this teaching around the Taoist teachings around sexuality. And I'll just share a quote from the Mantak Chia's book, Awakening Healing Energy Through the Tao. The Taoists teach it is the responsibility of man and woman to balance the powers of heaven and earth harmoniously within themselves, and that harmony in other spheres of life, and that harmony in other spheres of life will follow thereafter. And below we have the principle of the balancing male and female. Principle of balancing male and female using the body as the crucible for transformation. So there we go. It truly was, and it has had its own length that we were together. So again, just summarizing, just gathering images, all of these things kind of converging in consciousness. This was an image, I think one of my very first introductions to the iconography of Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Pyramid of the Sun and Moon, just outside of Mexico City, and which I later did a solo pilgrimage to. This is one of the images of the frescoes that were created at Pyramid of the Sun. And so I'm on kind of that Mesoamerican symbology download. And of course, here we are once again coming back to a full image of the Temple of Fingers and Toes. Entered March 3rd, 86 over on the left. And then by August 5th, we've come to the pinnacle, which is 7 Manique. So this is the 7th moon of the Temple of Fingers and Toes. So we can expect some kind of closure, completion, opening, gateway, divination, spiritual tools, acting as if. So these are all keywords that were coming together at that time for me and for my own contemplation and direct experience. And it was very vivid at the time. My teepee, I had a teepee when I lived west of Calgary, and then when my wife and I split up, the teepee moved to Bragg Creek, west of Calgary, a friend's property. He made space available. Just like Goethe said, expect the unexpected if you take a life of commitment. So I crafted a little prayer at that time for my appreciation of having such a dwelling in the beautiful Bragg Creek area. And so I'll just share that prayer with you. I acknowledge with respect the ancestors within my head. I acknowledge with respect the ancestors within my heart. May all of these ancestors join me now as one as I enter this sacred place. And that's me entering the teepee. Now this is me exiting the teepee. I thank the ancestors within my head. I thank the ancestors within my heart. I leave in gratitude this place of peace and beauty. Oh. So that teepee became not only a focal point for me, but for our what constituted a spiritual community in Calgary. We had a name, the Earth Medicine Co-op, was managed to congregate probably 50, 60 people who met regularly and enjoyed this opening to a spiritual community. Meditation, stage 4. This is from the book, The Secret of the Golden Flower. So a great image for those, a contemplative image around consciousness. Another dynamic image combining iconography from the Maya or Aztec and the Chinese, the I Ching. Now this image, which apparently was found at the base of the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. When I look at this, I see my journals mounting up one after the other. And it just, it's kind of fun to relate to it in that way. And once again, we have the deity of representing unlimited creativity. And here, month by month, or lunation by lunation, there's a new glyph and a new number to contemplate and to be nourished by. And this is a form of spiritual guidance that's coming to us through the symbology put in place by our ancient elders. Very complex symbolism, but when you start to get into it, there's basic fundamental principles that are being portrayed here. And there's just a wealth of knowledge. It comes in not only from the Mayan, but here now we have the early Sumerian, pre-Babylonian deities pollinating a tree of 13 blossoms, the spray of leaves at the top. What's spray of leaves at the top? The exact 7 levels. Okay, 7 levels, 13 deities or pollinations, and so on. So there's a numerology associated with so many of these images. And here we are just exploring this, as it says here in the center, lunation phase orientation provides a geomagnetic connection. So on the left, we see a group of people essentialized here through masks, gathering together. There's drumming, there's singing, there's toning. And we're all vibing together. And part of the teaching that was emerging at that time is that each one of us has a direct line into the center of the circle. And there's a whole lot of symbology associated with that direct line. And that symbology integrates the biopsychic, the gravitational, and the electromagnetic. So this is the unity, the science of unity underway, bringing people together into a unified core. Once again, the notion of organic revolution. What is a volute? It's a turn of spiral, one turn of the spiral. And this is what the lunation cycle brings us constantly in touch with. It's the constant turning and unfolding. So again, starting to get, life at that time became very ceremonial, became very activities, regular activities with community. We had monthly potlucks. We had journeys out to the teepee in Bragg Creek. It was well, as we see here, phase 5, Quetzalcoatl return. I'm beginning to identify with, the phase 5 here indicates my direct line to the center of the I Ching circle. And I'm understanding that the upcoming harmonic convergence ceremony, worldwide ceremony, is all about the return of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. So I'm just being steeped in the ancient wisdom and loving it. Now, this particular image is a sketch of the old house that Susan and I lived in. She lived upstairs and I lived downstairs. And the two of us together in that place constituted, that was our coupleship. Well, at the top, you see a square of 64 I Ching hexagrams. Now, I've put it there because at that point in the real house, there are 64 circles, wooden circles in that same spot. So the fact that I came into that zone, Susan was already living there when I came along. The fact that this 64 square grid was part of that house was just spellbinding to me because of that same image of 64 hexagrams showed up in Earth Ascending in many places. So I took that as a major synchronicity, and that it confirmed the validity of my choices up to that point, and also indicated that there would be more. And there certainly was much more. And this is one of the things that happened. As I was across the street, looking back at the house, I suddenly, in my mind's eye, had this convergence of these two images, an image of the lunation cycle and an image of the I Ching. And they literally, in my mind's eye, just converged upon each other until we had this overlay. And what occurred to me was that the lunation cycle and the circle of I Ching hexagrams were representative of one and the same thing. They were just different symbolic representations of the same phenomena, the same principles. So this was a major revelation at the time. And what I did astrologically for most of a year, any of the astrological work I did with people on a one-to-one basis was determining what phase of the moon they were born at, and then also what hexagram from the I Ching did that correlate with. So that was a very fascinating journey, and there was synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity, and the whole thing just spilled out, and I was just completely engulfed in the research of this whole phenomena. It occurred to me that this image, which I'd seen somewhere, I thought, that image seems to me like it's an essential core representation of sun and moon. And that's exactly what it is. This ideogram is sun over moon. Well, in Earth Ascending, one of the very final pages, we see the image at the bottom here. We see sun over moon and a little triangular grid structure to a center, and then an arrow pointing out to a segmented, part of a segmented circle, that would be. So this is Ben Franklin's descriptive drawings showing the aurora borealis to be an effect of crossover polarity or tropic, Arctic, something or other. Anyway, what it did for me was it blew my mind that here, Ben Franklin, so many hundreds of years before, had been consolidating imagery like this in his explanation of what the aurora is all about. So I was just fascinated that image, because it essentialized the whole notion of what I was doing, the working with the sun-moon angle at birth and deriving a particular hexagram, one of 64 segments. So this was another one of the mystic callings to go deeper and keep pulling on this synchronistic thread. So now we're into September of 86, and I am, for the very first time in my life, leading a workshop, and it's called The Way of the Earth Shaman. So I'm starting to consolidate my understanding of Arguelles' approach to Earth Shamanism, and I'm taking the step to consolidate a workshop, and it was a success. I think there were about a dozen of us, and we made use of the facilities out at the Nakota Lodge on the Stony Indian Reserve at the edge of Lake, oh, forgetting the name in this moment, but this is the lake that I found my stone sphere in. So it was a wonderful Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. And yeah, that was me stepping out in that teaching role. Now, 38 years later, when we come into the present moment, I have recently come across the work of Richard Cassaro. And as it says here, the missing link, powerful evidence of an advanced golden age culture in prehistoric antiquity. And what Mr. Cassaro has done is travel worldwide and has gathered this evidence of the golden age culture. And as we see here, his book on the left, the book cover on the left, is definitely resonating with Jose Arguelles' book on the right, especially map 41, which is where we see the imagery in the center resonating with the image on Mr. Cassaro's book. So for me, now this represents a new realm of discovery. I feel very excited to be plunging into this notion of the advanced golden age culture. I think he's really onto something, and he's got the data to back it up. And it's coming as we now enter into the Temple of Eagles, which is all about planetary consciousness and rising to the heights of overview of what life on planet Earth is all about. So there it is, Ben Franklin, catching that little bit of lightning. Now, very interestingly, also associated with the sun-moon image is the image at the top, the black and white image of his representation of the aurora and its basic principles. And here on Earth, these days, especially in the last month or so, we have had spectacular aurora display. And I just couldn't help but marvel at how the image on the left corresponds so beautifully with the image at the very center of the whole diagram. We see a real resonance there. And it's an image that so far I haven't been able to track the source of. there's Franklin's image. If anybody has any suggestions on that as to how to locate it, I'd be interested to know, because there's definitely more to share there. So I'm going to give the last word to Mr. Cassaro. And he asks the questions: why and how do all of these temples exhibit the same parallel architecture, as if constructed by masons sharing a similar knowledge base? Do these triptych temples indicate a shared religion inherited from the same mother culture? So very provocative questions indeed. And that just kind of gives you a sense of where I'm at these days, and the kind of research that I'm engaged in. And yeah, we'll call an end there, and we'll go into discussion.
Thank you, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
Get more clarity each time.
Yeah, you've had the full meal deal.
Yeah. I feel it, for me, it was looking at the lightning path and being on the path of meditation. There's kind of a path to follow, where I see with the lightning path, it's creating one's own path. And so it's not as complicated. I was talking to someone who was saying, I said, oh, I'm going to the new moon presentation. Well, yeah, that's all new terminology for me. So they were hesitant. But as it gets clearer and clearer, I see it's getting more simple, in a sense that the first part of your presentation is really bringing those three together: the lunation cycle and the temples and your lunation journal, highly recommended, and then go from there.
Exactly.
And then I see the rest of your presentation is your experience, not to be confused with, oh, now what do I do next? Do I follow Dwayne? No, that's, as you're talking with the commitment, well, I commit to myself on the path. And what is it that I create?
Yes.
Based on kind of the temples are in essence, and each glyph is like a guide. It's not a certain, it's a guide along the path. And so it's, as I say, it's getting clearer and clearer and simplified, but the basic temple and the Tzolkin and moving along with that is not to be confused with your experience.
Right.
Which it could be overwhelming if people are going, wait a minute, I gotta know all this that Dwayne knows. No, Dwayne's been doing this since what, in the 70s, and you're sharing what I'm seeing. You're sharing possibilities in this connection, not to be confused with the basics of how I can play in the temple and play in my temple. That's what I'm, it's clarifying for me today.
Nice. Well, you know, I find it just so fascinating that of all the possible phases of the moon one could be born at, Steve and I end up being born pretty much within the 1 degree of exactly the same phase angle. So when that sort of synchronicity happens, I just like come alive with, wow, let's investigate this. I mean, there's something more behind that. You know, I mean, what are the chances? And further to say, because that whole lunation cycle phase of the moon factor, you know, that's important for the whole rest of the model. My ex, Patty, who was my grade 8 sweetheart, you know, we were married for 10 years. She also was exactly the same phase angle. So there's something kind of, you know, mysterious there. That
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
and
kind of
those are fun, and there's so many ways to explore, but there's opportunities to explore. What's resonating for me now, of course, is the Sabian symbol, and what I discovered of Sophia's position, and pursuing what that symbol meant in that garden of Tuileries, and that synchronicity with being there in 2017 on her birthday is, as you say, sometimes it's mind-blowing, but it's like, okay, so what I learned from that? So then I pursue that on my own through James Burgess and what he has to say about it, and about how it was built by people in position, in authority, and now it's enjoyed by the public. But the public was resentful of the authority. But it's saying without authority, it can be just chaos. And it's quite fascinating to see when someone is successful, the masses can want to knock them down. We see it in successful artists or that. There's always the critics, right? Always trying to knock it down. The critics, there's the critics, and then there's the doers. It's easy to be a critic, but taking the action and being a doer and manifesting, that's something else. So it's really wonderful playing within that Sabian symbol and getting more understanding about. And when I look at it and I see where Sophia came in with that, and then to see it, not knowing and then examining it now and going, wow, that's exactly were things that came up for her and in our relationship. It was just, it's fascinating, and it's you know, and it helps me too. Instead of, you know, I'll question authority, but to rebel chaotically, that's something to look at. It's just very, very interesting. So there's things like that I create my path within this, within the lightning path, which is a model. And yeah, I'm seeing more and more, not the essence of the path is actually keeping it simplified to play in and not confuse it with your experience, which is vast. Examples of you actually using it and doing it. So
right.
That's that's it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm going to follow up on something that you said, Steve. That one was an excellent presentation. You really put together everything and made it simple and easy to understand. And I like how you use your voyage, because as Steve had used that, I see it as a way of, you have said, this is what happened for me. And yet elements of your presentation, it allows me coming in to say, you have said, but you have permission to do it your way. And I think that's the key thing that I got from this. Oh, it doesn't have to happen as this profound thing that you had happen. It will happen my way because I have permission to follow this in my own manner. And it really, in all of it's like, oh wow, this is different, and it's calling more. I mean, since I've moved over to this place and been house sitting this winter, I really haven't attended in person. I haven't joined you in person, for whatever reasons. And I'm going, oh, I miss that now. And even right in this time I have about 2.5 weeks till the movers get here, and I better find a place to go. Yeah, and yeah, so it's trying to finish up stuff. I am officially divorced as of 1st of June after 5 years and 3 weeks.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good for you.
And there's still I won't be completely free of everything till the end of August. But anyway, and so it's just trying to get things happening in here, and so it really, I've been following. I signed myself up for a 21-day little mini course in manifesting dreams, and I thought, I wonder what this will be like. And yet, of course, as we always know, there's synchronicity, and no matter what modality you're in, the basics are all the same, right? The basic tenets of belief and movement and energy, and it's been really interesting to do that. And one of the exercises was to write down at least 20 new empowering beliefs about oneself that help you through the day. So the one about commitment just popped right into my brain and said, that's what's missing. Because sometimes I go, okay, my timeline's getting short. Am I going to manifest what I want to have, this home? And of course, in this journey of 21 days, it's like a dream. It's that my dream expanded from having my little retreat B&B that's, a couple little garden sheds, and you come and unplug with gardens and things, and to, holy crow, one of the exercises has taken me to a whole healing center. I no. And it's like, okay, now what happens with that? And it's interesting because that healing center has brought together all the other pieces that I had thought about. Went, no, I don't think so. And open it up to partnerships with other people. So the commitment thing is really struck me today, and that's a belief I'm adding to make it number 25, is I am committed. I fully commit to doing this healing center, however it comes. So
I witness your commitment.
Thank you. And it just sits so right. So, in my temple of birth, this temple of seeds, and I'm going, oh yeah, I know the universe has a real sense of humor. I hear it. I hear you. So it's the being and doing thing that you have as well. This is such an excellent presentation for someone new to this, who's interested. It speaks so many ways, and things are laid out. It's easy to follow along and through and be called to go, oh, tweak, is there something there? Oh, maybe it's that. And to explore it within our own ways and means. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the commitment. Yeah. So 10 years of painting the glyphs in my way. Like when I saw the cards in British Columbia the first time, I didn't want to do it. I thought, what? No way, Jose. You know, because I was also reading the book, and I thought, wow, that's very interesting. The way of, it's a different way of seeing things and seeing life as well. But then I really started to commit to do the paintings, and it took me 10 years, like being married 10 years, you know. I was, any minute I had free, I would work on the paintings, and also connecting it with my experience of Atlantis, and feeling myself being part of Atlantis and bringing it into the paintings as well. So we bring all parts of ourselves into the product, you know. And now with you guys, I mean, I wasn't thinking or planning to do a channel. I just, you know, like you guys were sort of the motivation maybe to do this full thing, this jump right into something I don't know. And I love it because I like to do jumps, which is like, you know, like see what's coming up, you know. That's my pleasure in a way. I don't, or my challenge in my whole being, you know, to have this Uranian energy, see what happens, you know. Let myself go to the point of death and see if I survive, you know. I always liked that. And so this channel thing was kind of a more dry feeling of jumping into it. And somebody just said, yeah, I can give you a hand. But then you have to walk alone. Then you have to sort of also see if you still want to be committed, you know, and do you want to put energy into it? And funny enough, because I do the Crowley deck and I do also the Mayan deck. And it's funny that more and more people want to hear the Mayan part. So people are interested in the Mayan calendar kind of energy. And I thought, wow, interesting. Because I thought, well, I can also do, but I will also do the Crowley cards and probably do some workshops and explain things, because I all know it, you know. I mean, this is my life. I did this in my life. I learned about Crowley. I know a lot about him, which nobody knows because it's my path. So, and I also just recently, I don't know where it was, I should have kept the evidence, you know, the proof that Crowley said, for the new age, and that was really like, what is this? He said, we need a new tarot deck. So there has to be a brand new foundation of thinking to get out of the old stuff. Because the old stuff is all these Rosicrucians and all these guys who who were working on all this Masons and all these mystery schools and stuff. So he wanted to divide it. He wanted to say, well, we got until here, and now if the new age is starting, we want to have a new deck. We want to have a, and I have to say, also with the Mayan tarot deck, I get closer to what's really happening. I saw today that we have are very connected to the reading I did. So everybody has this dream experience now, and getting into dreams workshop, like Shirley said. Wow, I thought, wow, my God, this is really, everybody's sort of interested in things like this now, instead of checking out old mystery schools. Well, it's a base, but we probably don't need it anymore. It's like the Pisces era, and now we're gonna have the Aquarian era coming up. So there might be still some floating into each other, and we still pick stuff from the past to use it in the future. So I see it like emerging. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I just put it out there so you guys can sort of feel into it and have the information which I sort of got recently. And I wasn't intending to do this. I wasn't planning to do this. It just all happened. Yeah. Thank you for make it happening. Or give the impulse, or the you know, the activation in a way.
It's amazing what just a small group can bring forth, just from that simple showing up and supporting each other, just listening. I've had that experience so many times of really, like, without the support and the interaction, doesn't happen. Just doesn't, the manifestation doesn't occur. So I'm always so grateful for you guys showing up, for this thing that I'm doing. And yeah, I love showing up to your readings, Shima, and like you say, they're what's happening now. They feel like they're
exactly.
It's really current, just the way you present yourself, and very nurturing.
And then also you find people talking about the same what you were sort of seeing there, and people and my readings also sort of are like sparks in other people to see, wow, I never really thought about my dreaming being my superpowers, that there's something very important in my dreams that I can bring forward, because I have the suspicion that we are sort of manipulated to not go too deep into, or it was blended out of our consciousness, that we don't dive into it too deep, because we would become too independent. We are beautiful, beautiful goddesses and gods who had all this knowledge, which is like stuffed in our subconscious now. And we have to find the right tools or the right group people where we can sort of dig into the subconscious and bring some treasures out, where you find this beautiful story, like Steve was telling about him jumping down the balcony. It's such a beautiful, we were maybe all able to fly in a certain way, or to communicate in a certain way. Who knows? Because there are ancient civilizations which were much more advanced than we are now. I feel we are blocked. I feel like we are missing out on something. And I wonder from where is the the person or the group who's controlling. Where are they? I want to know. Where are they located? And why do they block out our subconscious? And of course, there's lots of people now who are digging more into it. Like my master Daji, he's a guru, he's a master, and he's digging into spirituality and bringing tools up so we can sort of open up much more space, which we never thought we have inside of us. It's all inside of us, and we don't see it. What is this? You know, that's not fair. So maybe we should use more tools and encourage more people to use their tools and make a commitment, like me doing yoga. I love it, you know, and I ordered it. It's also something I did in subconsciously. I ordered in the universe to get a yoga teacher, and I wanted Indian food. I wanted somebody who cooks for me, Indian food. So it came all into my life. It manifested on this island that there's a yoga teacher lady came, and she's a wonderful cook. And she she spoils me with all this beautiful food, and I'm like in awe and awes, and she shows me all the goddesses, and I get holy water, and I know about all these rituals of Shiva, and I was ordering this, and it's there, you know, it manifested. I remember myself walking like this in COVID time and being really like being inside of me and being alone. And that's why I ordered it, you know. It's like, especially when you just don't feel that you have that what you are looking for, or maybe that made me do the wish. I don't know. So we have to watch and mirror each other, because, you know, you are another me. And that's where the magic starts.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing for myself, there's independence and then there's the interdependence. And I think on the lightning path, I can be independent in my choice of what tools or what shows up for me, but it's in this group showing up, then it's interdependent and how it's connecting with, you know, the rest of the world as it is, or the cosmic consciousness. But I feel, for example, I ventured out to the farmer's market just to get a peach pastry from a dessert shop that shows up there. That was my motivation.
Yeah.
And it's not far away, so I ventured out and working with not isolating myself, but getting involved. And I go there and the acupuncturist shows up.
Amazing.
And then I see the presentation today by Dwayne about the Earth Shaman, and I see his brow and visioning. And when I was sitting at the acupuncture community chair outside in the beautiful market, she put in the needles that I requested, and I felt there was something missing. And to the other person she was putting needles in, and I could feel it, it was the point at the brow. And yesterday I requested, like halfway through it, I said, something's missing can you put a needle in the brow?
Mhm.
And she did, and then it felt, oh yeah, this was, I was kind of the way Sophia would put the points in, the needles at the points, but then I realized something's missing, and it's the brow, and then that was an independent choice, or now it shows up in our coming together. Dwayne is suddenly showing me this Earth Shaman at the brow, and I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool.
Right on.
You know, and it's just those simple things, but where they connect us.
Mhm.
And so
And
there's
on a
this,
farmer's market, I mean, it's also this biodynamic. Like he was also talking about biodynamics, you know. I mean, why did it happen there that you got your acupuncture? You know, it doesn't really, you know,
Mhm.
normally you go to a house or to a clinic or
Right.
something, but it was
Right.
like such a normal thing, like shopping.
Yeah, yeah, and
Beautiful.
yeah, and
That was
I
also
haven't, being there before, I'd never noted there was not one, or I didn't obviously need one, but I hadn't seen her before. And then in commitment, uh, I'm making my wooden puppets. Of course, I'm sawing by hand, and I'm saying to myself, oh, there's so many saws on the island. I need a new friend with a bandsaw. And I went to this health fair and met this wooden flute maker, and he invited me to see his shop. So I stepped out and I went there. And the first person that I decide to connect with has a shop, has a bandsaw, and says I can use it.
cool.
So it doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
And I suspect Sophia is behind that one,
Well, in the sense of
in the
our
sense of
spirit,
spirits.
in our spirit talk, saying don't isolate myself and uh, don't squander by sitting around. Take the action.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is it didn't take too much action just to go drive 10 minutes away and knock on the door and enter in and see the bandsaw is right in the middle of the garage, just sitting there. And I go, okay. So
It's wonderful.
that creates more ease. And I can do the other things here at home. I mean, the sawing is there, the dust is there, and then I can carve here, which is wood chips, which is easy to sweep up. And then I also committed to going to the beach to sit and be out at the beach and hand sand and let this dust go out into the air
Super.
in the wind direction away from me. So
So
it's
how many of these guys are you going to be creating?
well, it's infinite. There's all sorts of, you know, I'm doing the grieving puppet at the moment, and then that leads me to, I mean, the wooden puppet making is like stepping into theater. And now I like the carving and the designing the puppet, which one, and then now that leads to the world of costuming. And I know of a place that I went into, it's a maker space, and I walk in the door and it's got like 6 sewing machines and women sitting there sewing away, and so I can collaborate and farm that out and get assistance making the costumes. I don't have to do it all. I like the carving and the design, and then get assistance with the costume and then go from there. So it's just, but as we're the theme of commitment, it takes stepping out and going, and as Barbara's talking about the flying or just jumping into something new, and see what's there. And then, okay, then sitting back and reflecting, is this where I want to go? And that's all part of the lightning path with the guides in each temple, each new moon, plus bring my own temple of art and
monkeys.
fun, and bring the monkey with me. So makes sense to me, which I was kind of struggling with, as I say, a lot of things, as Barbara's saying, the different groups have their certain path, their path of certainty. And but there's also this self-discovery, which to me is a lot of fun. So my monkey temple likes that, and then and it changes in variety with each new moon. And in
uncertainty.
Yeah, and yeah, then there's new uncertainty. But with this ending with the triptych, I pulled my cards for the new moon, and I got the Three of Pentacles and the Three of Cups.
Wow, interesting.
So the threes show up for me today.
I sure do.
Because I'm on the cusp, so I pull for Pisces and Aries. And yeah, I got suddenly look at this. Here's the threes showing up in the group setting in our interdependence, and now I can independently venture off with my threes.
Have any of you seen Cassaro's work?
No, I haven't. Just today with those.
So that's new to everybody. Yeah.
The three temples.
Yeah. He calls it the God Self icon. So there's this, and it's all about, integrating left and right, and balance, harmony. And it's just amazing how these images show up, and they're so graphically resonant. I mean, there's no question. And he's really traveled the world, and he's out there traveling now and doing the same thing. He said he wasn't into trying to convince other people about. He's more interested in researching and just bringing it together and laying it out. He's not attached to outcome as far as I can see. And
yeah, convincing's a big job. That's not. Yeah, that's this. But that tuning into the symbology is part of the lightning path. It's creates so much fun.
Yeah.
And now here's a new place to explore with this triptych. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah, it just all ties together. I mean, I ventured out and just took a photo of that stone wall at that cove, and I posted it, and you saw a face in it, and
oh yeah,
it was amazing. Yeah.
And then I just noticed that there's a lot of the symbology in the Mayan has that seated figure, whether it's going out or it's going below, and I see in the center that I see a sitting stone. I see a sitting figure in it.
Yeah,
You look-
wow.
If you look at it again, there's a seated,
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah, take
right in the
pictures.
center. It's an outcropping from the wall
Yeah,
of this
please.
seated.
Because I feel like there's something. I don't know what, but I had this, oh my God, this looks so Mayan there.
Mhm. That's what I looked at it, and then that sits out there's like this seated either
Incredible,
flying
beautiful.
figure.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I can fly into the triptych.
Yeah. Yeah, this 3 was also in the middle of my tarot reading, which I did. The 3, it's also the rhythm, it's a pulse. It's also like, and it said that you have to become one of the 3. So you have you I don't know if we could choose to be maybe to become one of the 3. So either be the one on top or on the side of the rhythm, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's a rhythm, it's a pulse, and it's also connected to the Kundalini of Earth. That was also like something I don't, maybe you guys know more, or can, because of the pictures we are talking in the wall, that this is like also Mother Earth, you know, talking to us. And the rhythm, and we can if we tune in into one of these triangle thing, then we can, it's like I see like a carousel, like, you know, as children you can sort of jump in when you are fast enough, and then you're in it, and then you're in the rhythm. So it's something moving,
Yeah.
where we sort of can jump in, and then we are connected to the rhythm of Mother Earth in this reading. It was really like information that the Earth Kundalini is changing, and when you're able to join the rhythm, when you make it into the carousel, then you are sort of integrate this rhythm in yourself, and then you become integrated, I would say.
Yeah. I know it's coming up.
And then it turns, then it sort of works in you.
I
Then
know
you're
exactly.
meeting the right people. That's
I know
where,
exactly what you're saying.
perfect. Yeah, that
I
was
jump in and suddenly it's what I'm getting when you said the 1, 2, 3. That's a waltz.
Yes,
1, 2, 3.
that's
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
And that's just
wonderful, floating.
I love that dance. That when you get started with that,
Oh, it's
that's
so,
just flying. The waltz is
yes,
like flying.
yes, yes.
Also a polka.
Yes,
So
that's
your
what
polka rhythm. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
that would be a different rhythm.
but it's
It would-
also some polkas you can almost, when you get a waltz, like the original waltz steps were with Strauss waltzes traditionally, they were so fast. They
yes,
were really 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
yeah,
3,
it
1.
gets
And
you
you
into a
literally
trance.
flew around,
It's smooth.
and so it melds with the polka. Sorry, my feet are going. You can't resist. But
See, there's the
and now
independence. There's the
depending
polka
on
person, and here's the waltz person.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with 1, 2, 3.
yeah. And it's a rhythm that has been displaced over the last quite number of decades.
Yeah.
If you take younger people, they no longer know a rhythm of 3. Nothing is done in dance, and hardly anything is done in dance anymore unless you're doing traditional dance in a rhythm of 3. People don't know how to waltz. Oh my gosh, what a loss.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Polkas are wild. They're all wild and wonderful. Yeah.
But it's there to resurrect again, though.
Hooray.
Just start
We need it.
polka-ing and waltzing.
Yeah. We
But
need it.
also the Indian dance, you know, the powwow
Mhm.
people, they dancing in a certain earth rhythm, and they're connecting with their feet on the ground, and they have bells and all kinds of, and until they're in a trance. And that would be the shaman again, you know, it's like trance yourself into it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a very earthly thing to be in movement. But that's
Yeah.
like where we as human got ourselves. So we have a position also that we have made a development. And now it's also time to dive again into subconsciousness and bring out more stuff there. Like that's what artists are doing. You bringing archetypes out of the subconscious so you can carve them, you know. When you're a sculptor, you're carving something. Like you should look at the website of my brother. I can send it to you, and you have a look. He's a sculptor, and you will love his stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he goes with the wood, whatever kind of wood he finds, like roots or something. He turns them into personalities. So I will send you
That's
that.
a feeling. I know. I suddenly
I love him for
I'm
that.
I'm carving grief, and grief is coming out of the wood. It's just fascinating.
Or he makes them, he takes things out which is rotten and stuff, and then all of a sudden he experiences, he sees things in the wood, like we see something in the stone. So it's this process. It's that which is like, yeah. I love that because I'm an artist. I don't know how you can't have that. It's like, for me, it's natural, but it's so beautiful. And then we don't need a reason, or we don't have to force to sit ourselves down and do it 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours.
No, it's not
And
forced.
we don't even get paid for it too. So it's like just for fun.
Yeah.
And for commitment, maybe for yourself, because you want to bring that up.
Yeah.
Like Shirley with her dream workshop, she wants to bring something up. I mean, and she committed to it, so that something is waiting there for her. Yeah, thank you. Nice.
It's been waiting, and what clicks for me today, Barbara, is it's been waiting for me to actually make a total commitment.
Wow.
Yeah, it's what it feels like. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all hanging around, just waiting. We're here when you're ready. Yeah.
Waiting for action.
Ready for action. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't push it away. I mean, it has to, it's on the plan, it's on your plate. Yeah. Oh, you're muted. Shirley?
Yeah, it keeps coming back. It doesn't go too far, and it comes back and go back, and yeah. So I hope it's here to move, because I have to move. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then life is more, is like I'm just, since I do the channel, I have something to do which is like making me feel good, you know, because I was doing all my life, I was doing tarots and I was interested in, but like they're telling you you're retired, you know, then you get really tired, and then you're getting old and you fall apart. But when you're like committed to something, you know, you can start a beautiful group. I can see that in you, you know, your healing group, or whatever you want to do, it's waiting for you to do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. You don't have to be 18, you know, but you can bring all these beautiful people together.
Yeah.
And they create it with you as a foundation stone.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to stretch myself to be able to say, okay, I can allow others in, find partners, find other people, invest people that are interested in doing this and expand. There's my picture. Where do you see? Can you fit? What do you know, maybe what's the other versions? How can it grow? Right. And that's a big step for me because I like to kind of, I've always experienced keeping things to myself instead of, you know, like Steve said, you kind of show up and you make yourself reach out and go. So, yeah,
And your poems.
Let others make the costumes.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So,
And you have so beautiful poems. Whenever I see some post on Facebook from you, it's always like poetry, and I can see that this is like something which is close to your heart.
yeah, and all of this, it's like, okay,
and-
here's this big healing center, and how will I ever have time to do my writing and art and that kind of thing? And I'm going, what? Mind? No, 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 mind. That's not what it's about. Stop putting blocks in there. There will be time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that as I meet people within the healing center as well, will be
Yeah.
inspiration again
Yeah.
for more. So I'm thinking that, you know, and it doesn't have anything to do with age. I'm older now. I can have fun and play and enjoy what I want to do.
Yeah, and I have some beautiful poems coming, you know, so that people, because poems are also something out of your soul.
Yeah.
Your soul is high, and you feel shy about showing your soul. No, 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 no. Bring your soul out and shine so others can also show up, like poets. All of a sudden, there's another one who's very shy about it. They can bring out their poets because you did it, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I feel also with the tarot or with the readings I'm doing. It's like, well, I do it. If I can do it, then you guys can do it too, you know. It's like, and beautiful things happen then.
Yeah.
And poetry is lovely. I like it.
So is tarot. I love it. It keeps calling me. I'm getting back to doing some of it every day. It's so good. It's so soulful, empowering. Yeah.
And people love it. I mean, it's a very feminine energy. We saved a lot of our other women fellows in life by doing 3 women or 2 women just giving information via tarot cards.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, because so we were always sort of having problems with kids, with, you know, nitty-gritty stuff from daily adventures, you know, and we always helped each other. So I definitely also want to see if I can talk a little bit about why tarot is important. And it started as a game anyway, so see where the roots are, you know. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting where the roots are.
Yes.
I will find out. And just blubber it out, you know, just be in exchange. And that's we you know, no validating like oh, you're excellent or you're miserable, or this is not important to give an excellent. This is why I hate schools. They always have to say, oh, this was good and that was not good at all. Yeah, so no validations, and just let it happen. Yeah.
Be interesting to see what happens after today.
Great.
I'll let you know.
Looks like 2 hours flew by.
2 hours of death.
We're flying.
Right on.
Thanks for
Yeah,
showing
just
up, guys. I love you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dwayne, for bringing us together.
yeah, thank you, Dwayne. That's
Thank you, Sophia.
more clarity. Yeah, I see you've got her striped shirt on.
I love that shirt.
That's her favorite. It's on
I could tell.
the full moon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and thanks again for your creation of that. That was beautiful. Really, really helpful for me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah. And then just need to keep moving. And I created a new exercise. I'll just share with you. I walked by a golf course and there was a golf ball on the ground, and the path goes through a forest and by the community garden and by the golf course and by the soccer fields. But it's all paved. So I have this golf ball now and I bounce it off the pavement and it goes in different directions and I catch it with both hands. And sometimes it goes out further and I take like 3 steps and I find it's the first time I've had the motion of running in I don't know how long.
Long time, right on.
And so it's like I just feel feels like a youthful exercise. I just bounced that golf ball all the way around my walk.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so
That's great.
share that committing to walking, and then other things show up.
Mhm.
So thank you for the theme of commitment today.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
See you at full moon.
Yep.